The first time I saw him, he was made of starlight. Not in the way poets describe a lover, but truly, his skin shimmered faintly as if the cosmos itself had draped him in its breath. I was 16, barefoot on the cliffs of Orlara, where the sky met the sea in silence. The villagers said the ruins were cursed. I believed them. Until I saw him. He didn't speak, just stared at me from across the broken stones, curiosity in his eyes, sadness in his shoulders. I opened my mouth to ask what he was, but he vanished before the words left me. He came again a week later, and again and again. Each time he lingered longer. His name was Corin. He was not human, a guardian spirit bound to the ruins by a vow older than any map. The stars had chosen him to protect the gate between realms, a door hidden in plain sight, cracked and forgotten. As long as he remained, the gate stayed closed. I asked why he looked at me like he remembered me. He only smiled. "You remind me of a story," he said, "one I once belonged to. We met under moonlight, our voices barely louder than wind. I brought him things, books, berries, a blanket once. He didn't need them, but he always thanked me like they mattered. I told him stories of the world beyond the cliffs. He told me about the stars, how they whispered in a language no one truly heard, but everyone somehow obeyed. He'd watched empires rise and fall, but he'd never danced, never touched the sea, never been kissed. So I kissed him. It was like pressing my lips to the sky. The stars dimmed. He pulled back, breathless. You shouldn't love me. I already do. For a while, that was enough, until the sky changed. The gate began to open, not because of war or magic, but because Corin had shifted. I had changed him, grounded him. Love, it seemed, made even starlight heavy. He was becoming mortal. But the gate would not stay closed without him. The breach widened, strange winds howled from it, creatures stirred in forgotten corners of the earth. The balance was breaking. He told me he had to return to the stars, to surrender what he'd become, or the realms would collapse into each other. I'll lose you, I whispered. He looked at me like I was the only thing he'd ever truly seen. You gave me something beautiful, but if I stay, I destroy the very world you live in. I held him like the night might tear him from me. What if I came with you? You're not made for the sky, he said, voice cracked with sorrow. You'd burn. I didn't cry until he kissed my forehead and stepped into the gate. There was no light, no sound, just the ache of something eternal leaving me behind. Afterward, the village said the ruins fell into the sea. But I know better. Sometimes I dream of him, standing on the edge of a world made of light. Waiting, I wake with the feeling of starlight on my skin. I never loved again. Not because I couldn't, because I already had. And once you've held something made of stars, everything else feels borrowed.
They said the oasis never granted wishes twice. Arya carried her father's water skin across the shifting dunes, each step burning the soles of her feet. She'd promised him clean water by dawn, an impossible task when the desert's heartbeat had fallen silent weeks ago. Still, She followed the map drawn in sandstorms and half-forgotten songs. Hope, she reminded herself, can walk farther than fear. When the sun hung low and the dunes glowed rose, she found it, a pool cradled by palms, its surface smooth as glass. Arya knelt and raised the skin, only to see a figure rise from the water. He was tall and lean, skin like cooled clay, hair braided with reeds. His eyes mirrored the oasis, deep, hungry, alive. Who seeks the last spring of Talahara? His voice was water itself, flowing through her bones. I do, she whispered, my father will die without this. He studied her in silence, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Arya tasted regret on her tongue, hastily buried wishes, debts left unpaid, but her heart stayed steady. He held out a hand, droplets like jewels clinging to his fingers. The oasis grants life, but demands truth. He beckoned, and she stepped forward. She spoke the truth she'd carried like a burden, how she blamed herself for her mother's death, how she'd fled instead of comforting her last, how she feared she was unworthy of forgiveness. With each confession, the water glowed brighter, rippling with light. When she finished, the stranger smiled, sad, compassionate, then drink. He disappeared beneath the surface, leaving only a trail of silver bubbles. Arya scooped water into the skin. It tasted of moonlight and memory, cool and forgiving. She filled every container she could carry, then turned to leave, heart lighter than it had been in years. But on the dunes she paused, the stranger's words lingered. Truth for truth, life for life, her hands trembled at her side. The oasis faded behind her, swallowed by mist. She realized the debt she owed. She returned at dusk, following the same map, stepping as though the sand itself guided her. And when she reached the pool again, the stranger awaited. Your truth has been paid, he said. Now you must offer mine in return. Her breath caught. What do you ask? He smiled like sunrise. A story, tell me of your world, its wonders, its sorrows, so I may remember what I have forgotten. She nodded and sat by the water's edge. Over the next hours, Arya wove tales of her village, laughter around hearth fires, the taste of spring wheat, the ache of loss and the thrill of new beginnings. The stranger listened, eyes shining with memories reborn. When the first star appeared, he reached into the pool and pressed a single drop of water into her hand. For your father, he said, and for the spirit of this desert. Then he slipped beneath the surface, vanishing like a dream. Arya rose, carrying more than fresh water. She carried hope renewed. She carried stories that would outlast droughts. And in the hush of night, she heard the oasis sing, soft as a promise, alive as the dawn to come.